For sure. Let's go to Charles. And you obviously represented a large organization of public safety users of drone technology. Uh, Maybe you could further define how Blue has kind of entered into the public safety domain, how it's discussed in making decisions about drone hardware and the use of drone technology.
Yeah, I think what we first started seeing was the movement in legislation to ban DJI drones. And in order to do that, it meant, what were you doing it for? Why were you doing it? And the Blue UAS was, as was mentioned, there wasn't any other standard as far as safety and security. But what happened from that is that people then assumed and that Blue UAS was the answer when it wasn't, because there weren't enough companies listed in secure. I mean, they couldn't be tested at that time because DIU couldn't test other companies just because they wanted to be tested. So then we had a very small list to choose from, which made the selection very difficult. In addition to that, we've heard lots of different things about what is and what isn't, and it's not very clear. And when you look at the legislations that started going forward, we started seeing that public safety was being penalized more than the private sector. So we were going to actually say, now you've got to have a Blue UAS, which means it can't be used because it doesn't fall into the NDEA requirements. It can't be tested. It can't be used. And therefore, we have departments across the country that have invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in equipment with no, and really the only reason the DJI was selected by public safety was cost and capability. I mean, that's the bottom line. And in our study in 2020, we asked public safety, what is your thought of your preference of American-made drones? And 80% of the respondents said they would prefer to have an American-made drone, but it had to meet cost and capability. And I think the other problem with this whole thing is that when you look at the playing field's not equal because China put in $1.4 billion of subsidies for DJI to continue to grow in the marketplace and to a $4.6 billion market. And we aren't seeing that same kind of offering from American-made drones. But then we started seeing it bleed over into GSA contracts. So it was GSA being federal contracts, which weren't public safety, which weren't DOD. So by the mere point of, and I think that the bigger picture is this is a geopolitical issue. It's a bigger picture than just the drones. There's a lot more going on. This is not going to go away. So people had to feel like they needed to find something to base it on. And that's where I think that the DOD and the Blue UAS came in.